Your grocery bill just got pricier. Thanks, Tariffs. Remember that time you went grocery shopping and swore the prices had jumped higher than a kangaroo on a trampoline? Well, you might be right, and tariffs could be the sneaky culprit. We're talking about those everyday items you rely on, like that avocado toast you're so fond of or the juicy tomatoes that make your salad sing. Suddenly they're costing you an arm and a leg. But what are tariffs, and why are they messing with your grocery budget? Let's break it down. Imagine tariffs as a fancy word for taxes, but instead of the government taxing your income, they're slapping extra charges on goods coming from other countries. So, when those delicious avocados from Mexico or those sweet maple syrups from Canada cross the border, bam! They get hit with a tariff, making them more expensive for you at the checkout counter. And it's not just your grocery bill that's feeling the heat. Those shiny new car parts you need to keep your vehicle running smoothly? Tariffed. That cozy furniture you've been eyeing to spruce up your living room? You guessed it, tariffs. It seems like everything's getting pricier, and that's got a lot of folks hot under the collar. Tariffs, the taxing tale of trade wars and your wallet. Now you might be wondering, why in the world are we slapping tariffs on our neighbors? Don't we like Canadians and Mexicans? Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. See, the US government, in all its wisdom, decided to impose these tariffs as a way to protect American businesses and jobs. Think of it like this. If those avocados from Mexico become more expensive because of tariffs, then theoretically you're more likely to buy avocados grown right here in the good old US of A, right? That's the idea anyway, to make American products more appealing price-wise and boost domestic industries. But here's the rub: tariffs are like a double-edged sword. While they might give some American businesses a leg up, they also come with a hefty price tag for, you guessed it, the American consumer. That's you and me. Those higher prices on imported goods, they get passed down from businesses to consumers faster than a hot potato in a game of musical chairs. So, while the government might be patting itself on the back for protecting American jobs, it's your wallet that's feeling the squeeze. Why Mexico and Canada? Unpacking the tariff tussle. Now let's talk about Mexico and Canada. Why are they caught in the crosshairs of this tariff tussle? Well, it all boils down to trade deals and a bit of political maneuvering. The US, Mexico, and Canada used to be BFFs when it came to trade, thanks to a little agreement called NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. It was like a three-way handshake that allowed goods to flow freely between the countries without all these pesky tariffs. But then, a new sheriff came to town, and let's just say he wasn't a big fan of NAFTA. He thought it was a raw deal for the US, so he decided to renegotiate the terms, and thus began the saga of tariffs on Mexico and Canada. The goal? To pressure these countries into agreeing to a new trade deal that would be more favorable to the US. Of course, this sparked a whole lot of controversy, with some folks cheering on the move and others crying foul. Supporters argued that it was about time someone stood up for American interests, while critics argued that it would only lead to a trade war that would hurt everyone involved. And guess what? The critics were right. Section 4. The price we pay. Who's footing the tariff bill? Let's be clear as a freshly Windexed window. When it comes to tariffs, it's the American consumer who ends up footing the bill. Sure, businesses might grumble about having to pay more for imported goods, but they're not going to just absorb those costs and take a hit to their profits, are they? Nope. They're going to pass those costs down the line to you and me in the form of higher prices. Think of it like a game of hot potato, but instead of a potato, it's the burden of tariffs being tossed around. Businesses import goods, tariffs get slapped on, businesses raise prices, and then, bam! The potato lands in your lap when you go to buy those goods. And the worst part is, you might not even realize you're paying a tariff premium. It's not like there's a big flashing sign that says, "Congratulations, you just paid extra for that avocado because of tariffs." So, while the government might try to spin tariffs as a way to protect American jobs and businesses, the reality is that it's your wallet that's feeling the brunt of the impact. And let's not forget about the businesses that rely on imported goods. Those price hikes can eat into their profits and force them to make tough decisions, like raising prices for consumers or, in some cases, even shutting down shop. Section 5. Industries under fire, from cars to avocados, the tariff fallout. Now let's get specific and talk about the industries that are feeling the heat from these tariffs the most. First up, we've got the automotive industry. Cars these days are like rolling jigsaw puzzles with parts sourced from all over the globe. When you slap tariffs on imported car parts, it's like throwing a wrench, pun intended, into the whole manufacturing process. Suddenly those cars become more expensive to produce, and those costs get passed down to consumers like you and me. So, that new set of wheels you've been saving up for? Yeah, it might be time to start saving a little harder thanks to tariffs. Next up, we've got the agricultural industry, which is getting hit particularly hard by tariffs on Mexican imports. Remember those avocados we talked about earlier? Mexico is a major supplier of avocados to the US, so when tariffs are imposed on those green gems, it sends shockwaves through the entire industry. And it's not just avocados, tomatoes, peppers, berries, all sorts of fresh produce are feeling the pinch. And let's not forget about all the other consumer goods that are affected by tariffs. Furniture, appliances, clothing, you name it, if it's imported, there's a good chance it's gotten pricier thanks to tariffs. So, next time you're shopping, keep an eye out for those price hikes, and remember, tariffs might be to blame. Section 6. The Great Tariff Debate. Are they heroes or villains? Now the debate over tariffs is about as heated as a chili cook-off, with folks on both sides of the aisle digging in their heels and defending their positions with the passion of 1,000 suns. On one hand, you've got the pro-tariff camp, who argue that these trade barriers are necessary to protect American jobs and businesses from unfair foreign competition. They see tariffs as a way to level the playing field and ensure that American workers aren't being undercut by cheap labor and lax regulations abroad. These folks argue that tariffs are like a shot in the arm for domestic industries, encouraging companies to invest in American manufacturing and create jobs right here at home. They point to the steel industry as a prime example, arguing that tariffs on imported steel have helped to revive a sector that was on the brink of collapse. On the other hand, you've got the anti-tariff camp, who view these trade barriers as nothing short of economic suicide. They argue that tariffs are nothing more than a tax hike on American consumers, driving up prices on everything from cars to groceries and hurting working families the most. They also point out that tariffs often lead to retaliation from other countries, sparking trade wars that damage the global economy and hurt businesses and consumers on all sides. They argue that the best way to protect American jobs and businesses is through free and fair trade, not protectionist policies that stifle innovation and raise costs for everyone. Section 7. Time to speak up. Your voice matters in the tariff tangle. So there you have it, the lowdown on tariffs and how they're impacting your wallet. It's a complex issue with no easy answers, but one thing's for sure, your voice matters in this debate. Don't just sit there and take it on the chin when prices go up. Educate yourself about the issue. Contact your elected officials, and let them know how tariffs are affecting you and your family. Are you willing to pay more for your groceries and consumer goods if it means protecting American jobs? Or do you believe that free and fair trade is the best path to economic prosperity for all? The choice is yours, but make no mistake, the outcome of this debate will have real-world consequences for all of us. So get informed, get engaged, and let your voice be heard.